So what is negligent security? And who can bring a negligent security lawsuit? Well, negligent security is generally thought of as a type of premises liability case. And the typical negligent security case deals with people getting injured or killed because of a criminal attack on a property. So that begs the question, isn't it the criminal's fault for the criminal attack? Well, it's not always that simple, because the property owner may have attracted criminal activity on the property by allowing this activity and by failing to implement security measures, like functioning gates or security cameras, or even security personnel. So let's think about it this way. If a property owner hung meat up everywhere and then someone got attacked by a hyena, and I know there's no hyenas in the southeast, but just work with me here. If the property owner attracted the hyena to the property owner can't just blame the hyena for the attack. The hyena was on the property because the property was attractive to the hyena, and the owner made it that way. In this way, the property owner may be responsible for the harm caused. In the same way, a property owner can't create a perfect environment for crime and then claim it wasn't their fault when someone gets attacked on the property. Criminals are everywhere, but they choose certain areas to commit crimes. And that choice is based on a number of factors. And one of those factors is going to be the security measures and the likelihood of getting away with the crime. So let's take a rundown hotel, for instance. Let's say the property owner had allowed for prostitution and drug dealing on the property for months or even years. Now, when I say allowed, I don't necessarily mean the property owner was involved with the crime. It could be as simple as the property owner ignoring the crime and not taking measures to prevent it. Then, let's say a family stops into the hotel for the night. Let's also say the family is from out of town and they don't know it's dangerous. They're just looking for a reasonably priced place to stay for the night. Then, the family is there and one of them gets shot by a criminal. Well, you see where we're going here, right? The property created an environment that led to a paying customer, an invitee in the eyes of the law, to get shot. In this situation, there would be a strong argument that the property owner could be liable for the harm caused under a negligent security lawsuit. At the heart of a negligent security case is the property owner's responsibility to safeguard invitees or people who have a lawful right to be on the premises. When they fall short, the consequences can be dire and can lead to serious incidents and criminal attacks that might have otherwise been prevented with proper security measures. And the law says we can hold them responsible for the harm that resulted from their negligence. When considering the most common types of negligent security incidents, it's critical to understand that any violent criminal attack could serve as a basis for a claim. These types of attacks generally range from shootings and stabbings, like we talked about, to beatings and sexual assaults. In each instance, the crux of the legal argument centers around the property owner or manager's knowledge, or their expected knowledge, what they should have known, of security risks and their failure to take necessary action to mitigate those security risks. These types of negligent security incidents often happen at places we're all familiar with. Shootings, stabbings, and assaults commonly happen at apartment complexes, hotels, motels, and gas stations. And these are very common types of negligent security claims. Also, there are situations where people get violently attacked at bars or restaurants or nightclubs. The key here is establishing negligence on the part of a person or business who's responsible for what happens on or at the property. So what would constitute a proper set of security measures? Well, it's important to note that there's no one-size-fits-all standard for what are proper security measures at a given property. The standard is somewhat flexible, and it's based on the location of the property and the prior criminal activity on the property and in the vicinity of the property, as well as the potential for foreseeable violence or harm. So how do you establish a good negligent security case? Well, victims who pursue negligent security lawsuits need to establish the negligence of the property owner or manager, and this involves proving the 4 elements of negligence. 1, that the property owner owed a duty of care to the victim. And this will often revolve around the victim's status on the property, whether the victim was a paying customer or guest of a paying customer, or whether the victim was a trespasser and had no legal right whatsoever to be on the property. The second element is the breach of duty. In other words, did the property owner fail to implement security measures in the face of foreseeable crime? The third element is causation. In other words, we need to establish that the landowner's failure to implement reasonable security measures caused the victim's harm. And the fourth and final element is damages. In other words, did the victim suffer actual harm? These elements are generally established through the collection of evidence, like crime statistics to show foreseeability or witness accounts of what happened. And sometimes the case will involve expert testimony to establish what kinds of security measures should have been established. Overall, crafting a successful negligent security lawsuit hinges on the meticulous presentation of evidence and legal arguments that demonstrate the property owner's failure was not just coincidental, but a direct link to the harm the victim suffered. This requires a strategic approach to evidence gathering and an understanding of what would be reasonable security measures in the given context, as well as a persuasive argument that, had those measures been in place, the harm the victim suffered could have been avoided. The reality is that folks often suffer harm because the property attracts crime, and that's at the heart of all these cases. We as a society don't want to reward bad behavior, and we don't want to reward property owners for creating a breeding ground for crime. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions at all about negligent security cases, please don't hesitate to call our office. We're happy to give you a free legal consultation and talk with you more about what happened. All you have to do to schedule a free consultation is call us at the number below in the video description. Or you can look us up at www.spetsasbuist.com. That's www.spetsasbuist.com. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.